So the other day, we discussed a decision coming out of the Alabama Supreme Court where they said, basically, we're going to ban IVF, in vitro fertilization, because we think that these embryos are the same as a human life. So if you, accidentally happen to break the thing that's holding the embryos, then you're kind of liable for murder. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but this is the reality. And if you read the decision from the Alabama Supreme Court, it is dripping in fundamentalist evangelical Christian theocracy. I mean, it is all about the Bible and Jesus and God, and you are not supposed to have those things involved in the law. We have a separation of church and state in this country. Now, they think it's a myth, but they're wrong if they disagree with that. We do have a separation of church and state. You cannot establish a religion. This is effectively trying to establish a state religion by saying our religious interpretation is that you're killing a life if you mess with an embryo, right? This is insane. This is one step away from if you jack off, you just murdered millions of people. It's one step away from that. That's where we are right now. Well, guess what? Even the right has now opened their eyes on this. Even the right sees the writing on the wall and they're panicked. So former President Trump calls on Alabama lawmakers to protect IVF services after Supreme Court ruling. So the big man himself was like, I don't know about this. Why? Because he knows it's going to hurt Republicans electorally. Republicans are getting hammered on the issue of Roe v. Wade, on the issue of reproductive rights. They're getting destroyed on that. Every election since Roe v. Wade was overturned, the Republicans have underperformed. Why? Because of that. It's a huge reason. The other thing, of course, is the extremism of Trumpism, that all the very Trumpy candidates still deny the last election. That really hurts people too. Trump doesn't seem to realize that part, but he does realize the Roe v. Wade part, which is why apparently behind the scenes, after Roe v. Wade was actually thrown out, he said, this is going to hurt us, talking about Republicans. It's like, okay, dude, but you put the people on the court who made that decision. So chicken's coming home to roost, right? That's what we're looking at here. But here he's pumping the brakes big time. He's like, no, too far, this is going to hurt us. Okay, so here's the reality. 62% of Americans say IVF should be easier to access, including 53% of Republicans. Wow. 72% of Democrats say make it easier to access, 59% of independents, 53% of Republicans. Every single minority group, black, white, Hispanic, white, every single one supports making IVF easier. There's a bunch of Republicans who had a baby with it, and now they're like, bro, I'm against it. And there's also Republicans who are saying, oh, I'm against restricting IVF, but they proposed a bill that does that. Okay, insane. But by the way, even the NRSC came out and said, this is the Republicans in the Senate, even they came out and said, no, can't have it. In response to Alabama Supreme Court IVF ruling of February 23rd, NRSC memo encourages Republican Senate candidates to clearly and concisely reject efforts by the government to restrict IVF. See, the Republicans have put themselves in a pickle. They've put themselves in a pickle because they've empowered and emboldened their base extremists. They have. Whether it be the white supremacists or the Christian nationalists or the hardcore Trump people, they've emboldened them. And so now you're getting decisions that they would like, those people would like. But that's only 30% of the country. And everybody else, the 70%, are like, this is fucking psychotic. We don't agree with you. And so how do you appease the base and normies? You can't. You have to choose. What they're trying to do is have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, oh, this is too far. Oh, we don't agree with it. But again, I want to reiterate, there was a bill signed onto by Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, and many other Republicans that was like, no, we effectively agree with the Alabama Supreme Court ruling and we want to ban IVF. Look, electorally, shooting themselves in the foot. By all means, proceed. By all means. You want to make it so that you can't win an election from now until the end of time? By all means, go right ahead. But in all seriousness, don't, because these decisions are having horrendous consequences along with all the abortion restrictions. We've seen the horror stories of somebody who got raped and couldn't get the abortion, or somebody who has, their health is threatened as a mother. Potentially their life is threatened, but since it might only be their health that's threatened, they're not allowed to get an abortion, and so they got to go across state lines to try to get an abortion, and all these bills coming up. Let's treat it like it's murder, and these are all the logical consequences of overturning Roe versus Wade and unleashing the extremism. And, Trump and these Republicans helped birth this whole insane movement. And now they're looking at the monster they created. And they're like, holy shit, this is going to wipe us out electorally. On that, they're probably right. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.